The Invaders is the definition of a classic Twilight Zone episode. It utilizes components of horror in combination with small-scale elements to give us a one-of-a-kind story starring just a single actor on screen. The ending twist is one of the more memorable in the show's history, and several production pieces are among the most recognizable the series ever produced. A nameless woman lives a simple life alone in her secluded cabin. As she makes dinner for herself one evening, a loud, strange noise disrupts the peaceful night. She slowly climbs to the roof to find a miniature flying saucer-type spaceship has just landed. Small creatures in spacesuits then emerge, and what follows is a game of survival. The creatures stealthily attack her with futuristic weapons while hiding in her primitive home. Richard Matheson wrote this episode, and while it's a favorite of many fans, he was less than thrilled with it. He was quoted in Mark Zickry's The Twilight Zone companion book as saying, quote, "I never liked it. I thought those little roly-poly dolls were ridiculous looking. To see these little things waddling across the floor was about as frightening as Peter Rabbit coming at you." End quote. While this is indeed a classic, I can see the reaction to it being somewhat split. The material takes itself very seriously. Yet the villains are a few mini spacemen who aren't exactly intimidating looking. Personally, I love these little things, and in a show like The Twilight Zone, I think they fit right in. They were designed and puppeteered by director Douglas Hayes. Hayes used to draw for Disney, so he was skilled in coming up with character designs. After drawing what he wanted, the makeup team put together the figures with foam rubber and painted them gold for optimal reflective lighting. Hayes made them walk by placing his fingers into the legs and pantomiming the motion. He wore a black sleeve that blended into the shadows as he was controlling them. Oh, by the way, can you guess which movie they borrowed the flying saucer from? Yes, of course, it's Forbidden Planet. If you've watched these videos for a while, you know the drill by now. The director was also responsible for the suspenseful slow pacing. The build-up to the spaceship reveal and the stalking that happens afterward is all handled with precise care. Hayes wanted to minimize the amount of cuts in the episode and follow the main character around for long shots. This took a lot of rehearsal but worked out in the end. He mentioned years later that they only shot about 7 or 8 pieces of film for the whole show. Equally as important was the lighting. The cabin was supposed to have no electricity, so pinpoint cues would have to be hit when the character was moving from room to room or repositioning her light source. This was done by having about a half dozen crew members on light dimmers that slid on and off as she walked through the house. Helping guide the viewer through this more horror-driven story was the music of the legendary Jerry Goldsmith. Like other episodes he scored, the music isn't used wall to wall. In a story like this one, sometimes silence is more effective. But when the music kicks in, it's distinct, appropriate, and ups the feeling of anxiety shared by the woman on screen. This was the last of the 7 credited installments Goldsmith worked on. While portions of his score showed up in other episodes as stock music, this was his last official full Twilight Zone soundtrack, at least until the 1983 movie. Agnes Moorehead plays the unnamed woman here, and she may have a recognizable face to people who grew up watching the 1960s sitcom Bewitched. Moorehead portrayed Sam's mother Endora for the entire run of that series. She also appeared in Citizen Kane and a slew of other projects throughout the years. This character has no spoken lines, so her facial expressions and body language were all she had to work with. Moorehead does a really great job at reacting to the surreal situation she finds herself in. Considering what happens in the twist, her performance holds up even better on multiple viewings. After being stabbed, sliced, and shot with radioactive gun rays, the woman finally bests the mini-invaders and kills them, destroying their ship with an axe last. As she hacks away, we hear the voice of the remaining spaceman, provided by Douglas Hayes himself, desperately warning his comrades to stay away.
Incredible race of giants here! Race of giants! Too much for us! Too powerful! Stay away!
The invaders were actually humans from Earth the whole time, while the woman defending her home was a giant alien on a foreign planet. It is a great twist and enhances Agnes Moorehead's performance. You'll notice through the whole episode that she acts very strangely. She rarely uses her voice at all, and when she does, it's not to speak or yell in a way we're used to. Her movements are shown to be slightly different as well. If you rewatch this episode, you can easily see things from the astronauts' perspective. They didn't necessarily strike first and are trying to hide from this giant alien. It's just an excellent twist and one many admirers of the show still remember fondly. The Invaders was the last episode of the 9 Douglas Hayes helmed. He was a very hands-on director and often altered story elements to fit his own creativity. Producer Buck Houghton often said he would choose Hayes to direct more challenging episodes because he knew he'd be able to handle it. Without a doubt, Hayes put his own stamp on all his work within this series. He's arguably the best director the show ever had. With outstanding installments to his name like Elegy, Nervous Man in a $4 Room, and Eye of the Beholder, it can be hard to pick a favorite. Even on the rare times he didn't make a great episode, there was something memorable about how he approached the work. It's a shame that the show went on for so long after this without Hayes returning, but his impact on the Twilight Zone is undeniable. For me, this episode was a little better than I remember it after seeing it for the first time years ago. I love the music, performance, pacing, and design of the astronauts. Of course it's a little goofy, but that was the charm of the series. Without a doubt, this one gets my recommendation to watch or rewatch.
The Invaders, who found out that a one-way ticket to the stars beyond has the ultimate price tag in the Twilight Zone.